As a teenager, Jay travels twice to Japan in the 1950s with his parents. Earlier, while at Exeter, he gets permission to skip a science class in order to take Chinese and Japanese history. So while Asian studies are already of interest to the Harvard student, leaving his senior year for Japan is not a calculated move.
It wasn't, in fact, calculated at all. My reason for going to Japan was I wanted to get out of what I thought I might become if I stayed at Harvard. Getting into something where I not only couldn't speak the language, but where everybody was different, and I was tremendously tall, and they'd never sort of seen anything like that before. So it was the getting out factor, putting yourself in hard situations, tough situations, where you have to survive by your wits and study of the language over a period of 3 years. That's a long time.
While Jay had visited the country before, he could not have known how living as a student in Japan would affect him.
This is 12 years after the end of the Second World War, and they were on the mat. They were down. They were struggling. In the deepest sense, they were struggling. Those were my friends. Those were my roommates. We lived together in the middle of a rice field in a paper and wood shack and walk or bicycle every day, in my case, to learn the Japanese language. Japanese is hard. The written language, 3,500 ideographs, kanji they call it, and it was hard. And that's when you got up really early in the morning, it was cold, and you practiced and you practiced and you practiced and you practiced. And I got good at Japanese. And I went to farms of my roommates, friends' families or their families, which had been in their families for 30 generations, and began to understand what a long, committed history of hard work and hardship brings to people. It was a very personal experience for me, a very deep experience. It was the beginning of putting me on the track to public service.